Greetings there, everyone. This is Jed Schlackman. I'm a holistic counselor and spiritual energy healer. In this particular video segment, I'll be speaking about boundaries, and this is a topic that comes up very often both in the psychotherapy field and the energy healing field. So we want to look at how we're adjusting and adapting to our environment, how we're managing, in a sense, our boundaries in relation to our environment or surroundings and our interactions with other people. Boundaries are something that are important and really inevitable in terms of how we live our life and handle our relationships. And it's a challenge for all of us to navigate, to manage these boundaries, since our environment is constantly in flux. Things are constantly changing and evolving. We're interacting with many different kinds of people, dealing with many different situations and circumstances. So our boundaries ideally need to adapt or adjust depending on where we are and what we're going through. If we maintain the same boundary state all the time, it's likely to lead to some type of difficulty or dysfunction in our relationships. Sometimes it's ideal to have fairly open or loose types of boundaries. Other times it would be better or more ideal to have more closed or solid, rigid types of boundaries. It's not unusual to become stuck in a pattern of being either very open or very closed with your boundaries. And if you have consistently weak boundaries, then you're likely to be too easily manipulated or exploited. While if you have overly rigid or closed boundaries, then you'll tend to impair your ability to connect with other people in positive ways. It'll be difficult to have intimacy, to cooperate with others. So it's valuable to realize that we can go to one extreme or the other. And boundaries are an issue not just for individuals, but also for any social group construct, such as a family, a club, an organization, a country. All of these have some type of boundary for how they interact with the external social environment. So there's a boundary between self and other in our individual relationships, but also for those with a group, it's between the in-group and the out-group, or those outside of the group. So there's some process of discriminating in regards to who is allowed in, or interacted with, or engaged with, and who isn't. What's considered a healthy boundary could vary with the context or shift over time. As an example, at a national or countrywide level, there are many countries that adjust their immigration policies. Those may change over time as the willingness or ability of that society to assimilate newcomers may change. With many boundary concerns, there isn't a simple once and for all solution. We have to continue to observe ourselves and our relationships and our interactions with other people to determine really what's best suited for our well-being, or best suited in a kind of balanced sense for our well-being and the well-being of others, so we don't focus only on ourselves or only on other people, but we can kind of integrate both concerns and find some type of a healthy balance or boundary where we're not completely shutting everyone out, and we're also not letting just anyone come into our energy or our space. So that's important to realize many of us have a tendency toward one polarity or the other in a sense. So there are some people that tend to be chronically very loose or open or weak, you could say, with their boundaries. They tend to be very compassionate, very empathetic, very much inclined to support and nurture other people. So they naturally have this desire to be of service, to care for others, to address whatever needs or challenges other people may bring to them. And sometimes it goes too far. So you might have an example of someone who loves to nurture and care for animals, who rescues dogs or cats or wildlife that are in need or abandoned. And that person may have limited resources to actually care for all those animals. So if they don't set a boundary somewhere where they can't take in anymore, it ultimately can become harmful to them and those animals that they're trying to care for. So you need to be aware of your own energy, your own resources, your own ability to handle the needs of others. If you don't manage that, if you're not being mindful about that, then you could become severely drained or depleted or overwhelmed. So we can't rescue every animal out there or every person. With the example of a therapist or a doctor or a healer, those are people also who like to be of service and help care for others, but they'll have their limits too. They need to be able to establish boundaries so that they don't become overwhelmed. So there might be a time when you have a lot of time and a lot of energy, a lot of ability to help others, and you leave your boundary there kind of open because you have the room or space to care for others. But maybe at a certain point you are already very booked up, or you have other things going on in your life that are going to take your time and energy, and you can't really handle so many people. So at that point you would need to set a stronger or more solid boundary in terms of what you can take on. I hope that this discussion of boundaries is giving each of you some things to think about or consider as you reflect on your relationships, on your life experiences, and on how you could improve your ability to maintain or vary your boundaries in ways that serve your well-being, that help bring more balance or harmony into your life and into your relationships. For those that are interested in holistic health and well-being, in energy healing and other resources, you can visit my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. I would like to wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.